always played the Christmas song instrumentally, like this is what I do. But I recently had some requests from a student and a close friend who wanted to just sing it and look for like a fairly easy, as easy as possible, way to accompany it. And so I threw this arrangement together. No, I didn't throw it together. I put a lot of careful thought and actually a lot of work went into this. But in trying to keep it simple and straightforward, a lot of chords in this song. And so what we're going to do in this lesson is take a look at a way to just, I can't call this a campfire version because this is not a campfire song. There is just too much going on. But a pretty basic accompaniment that you could almost strum it. We're going to do it in the key of A. I originally played it in E, my instrumental version, which I've not done a lesson on yet. Who knows? That could change. Probably not today, but in the near future, maybe next year. Anyway, we're going to take a look at just a way to play the chords, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the accompaniment styles. The biggest decision you'd almost have to make is, do I want to play it in a straight time, straight eighth notes, with like an eighth note arpeggio, or with a triplet feel, which is what I just had when I played through the instrumental there. Which you give it a little bit of a swing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now this song, Christmas classic, written by Mel Torme and Robert Wells, and Robert I think had like sketched out some ideas for lyrics. Mel came up with the music and then touched up the lyrics and all that kind of stuff, and it's just become one of the most beloved tunes of all time. So anyway, I have a chart that has like just the chords, a lot of unusual ones. We got some minor 6, some 7, D sharp 7, sus4 will happen in there. And so we got to be able to play some bar chords and get to them fairly quickly. And then there's one, and then the tab. Really, the tab is not. It's just pictures of the chords in case you can't remember them by names or by what I talk about in the lesson. So that's all we have with this. A little bit of a skeleton version of the song. It will sound something like this. I'll play through a little bit of it the way I would play it in straight time. There's the A section. Anyway, coming up in the next segment, we'll start talking about the chords and break it down, and then we'll have a little play along through the whole thing coming up later at the end of this. First, I want to talk about the rhythm and some of the options we have in doing this. It's in 4/4 time, but we could easily play it with triplets, which would really give it with kind of a triplet or a swing feel, which would give it more, we could even say it's in 12/8 time, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, splitting each of the 4 quarter note beats into 3 equal parts. But a very simple accompaniment would be to play an A chord, A and E, just do those back and forth. And so I'm playing my A chord the way I standardly would, first finger on the 3rd string, second finger on the 4th string, and 3rd finger on the 2nd string. And it could be a 4-note arpeggio or an 8th note arpeggio where I'm hitting a bass note, then maybe my 1st finger, then maybe the other fingers, and then maybe even the last bass note on the 4th, 8th note. So over that amount of time, we heard all the notes in the A chord. That could sound something. I could change the pattern. It goes straight through, thumb, thumb, index, the other 2 fingers. Then when it goes to the E chord, I could maybe do thumb, index, these 2 together. The idea is we're trying to hear as many notes as possible of the chord in as short a time as possible. And sometimes we're going to have a chord for only 1 beat. We're just going to have to grab it. And so those grabs would be 4 notes. You're going to play the bass note with your thumb, of course, and usually, depending on the chord, I'm playing the middle 3 strings. I call the middle strings, meaning not the top string. We want to have the highest note usually be the note that we're playing on the 2nd string. Now, the triplet feel, instead of this, that's the straight 8th note feel. To make it triplets, I would just play it with swing, delaying the notes on the ands. 1 and 2 and there we have the first 6 beats, just going from A to E and back to E with the triplet feel. Now that also means though that I could, but I was only playing the first and third of the 3 of the triplets. I could go to the E though and play more of them. And play a straight 6-note arpeggio pattern. That could sound something like this. Now the B minor and the E or E7 that we play coming up after that, 1 beat, just grab it. So that's kind of the choices that we have as far as how you want to accompany it. Do you want to hear the song? I'll play through the first section, straight eighths right now. Now, if you take a look at the tab, I've got a measure there that does have that little melody in it. Just to help, it can make it a little easier to sing, because one of those that there's a G sung on a D minor 7 chord that can be a little tricky. So that's what it'd sound like with the straight eighths. Here would be the triplet feel. So experiment with both of those a little bit and see what you like and what feel you want to have in it. You could even change it every time you play it. Now, in the next segment, we'll start taking a look at the chords. But you are welcome to, of course, try them on your own first. But I'll give you some of my thoughts on different ways of voicing or fingering the chords coming up. Let's take a look at the tab and or the chart, whichever you want to look about. I'll just kind of go through the chords as far as the simplest way to play them in my head and what we're going to do. Now, the A chord at the beginning, standard A. You can play all 5 strings. You go to E, you can play all 6 strings. If you look at the tab on the E chord, I don't have the 5th string involved there, but I would still put it on, mostly because if I hit alternating bass notes in a chord on an E chord, any chord that has the 6th string, I hate to say never, but rarely will use the 5th string along with it. So when you play a G chord, for example, there's no real reason to have your 2nd finger on the B unless you're going to play the B. And if you're going to play the B, you probably don't want to have the G on the 6th string, because it'll just make the B come out dead, probably. So if you're going to play G with B in the bass, then we play the B on the 5th string, and we don't play the G on the 6th string. Okay. From the top, as simply as I can do it. 3, 4.